Oh, hello. Welcome to the launch of Dream Big. We're going to hear from Simon Delaney soon. He's going to say a few words. So, the book is, after what he says, the book will be officially launched. Here's Simon coming in now.
So, I get a chance now to talk to my pal, Niamh, who is now a published author.
Oh,
Now, this is no mean achievement, having gone through the process myself, and I want to talk to Niamh. Niamh, I want to talk to you about writing the book in a few minutes, but first of all, I want to go back to when you're a little 8-year-old girl,
yeah.
and because I want to know where did this fascination come from with what's up there with space? What started that for you?
I think he was in the house. Dad was mad into space and we kind of just absorbed it, you know what I mean? So
Mm,
like kids just follow whatever the rest of the family are doing.
yeah,
So science fiction was our thing. It was how we kind of bonded. And then dad worked in for an American firm, General Electric, around the time of the moon landing. So he tells the story that the next day after the landings, they were all brought into Queen's Hotel, which is in Dundalk, now all closed up, and they pulled down a kind of one of those projectors and screens, and the whole of his team were watching it, and they were so proud that this had happened. And so he must have told us this,
yeah.
because in my memory, like dad was at the moon landings. It's insane. But when
Of
I was a
course
kid,
he
I
was. He
used to
was an
go,
integral
my
part of
dad,
it.
yeah, my dad was at the moon. That's what I used to say around to my friends and stuff. So yeah, so it was part of our DNA. Everything science fiction and space was just always a part of my life.
But you developed an appetite for it. But what's interesting about the book and what I love about the book is that it's a journey about it's about self-discovery, but it's also about, if you love something when you're young and through your formative years, and it goes away from you for a couple of years because
Mm.
you're busy doing, domestic bliss and all that mortgage territory that we're all stuck with.
Yeah.
It's never too late to take it back. It's never too late for it to come back to you. And what I admire about you so much is that not only have you let it back into your life, it's become your life.
Yeah, yeah, I know. It was
Because
just
you went into engineering.
no, I know. It just never went away, Simon. And always I was looking for something more in life. Um I've always felt that something was missing. That's the best way to
Mm.
explain it. No matter what I did, I was never satisfied. And
But
I
you've never
thought,
been afraid, Neve, to take a left turn or a right turn.
no, never, because my values aren't really rooted in the accumulation of stuff, and it's kind
Yeah,
of really been very liberating. And it's just the way my life worked out. If I had have if I had have been married with kids and everything, I think it would have been completely different. But it was just the way everything kind of happened. It
mm.
sort of left me at a kind of a crossroads in my life where I was like, oh, I may as well just give this a go. and
Yeah,
and the
yeah, but
arts
you
helped
went
me.
to you went to the traditional route. And when I say traditional, and I don't know why I said use that word, but you went to college, you got your qualifications, and then you decided, I have this great degree now. I know what I'll do. I'll become an actor. Now, how did that go down? I'd imagine it went down like a fart in a spacesuit at home, did it?
I think they knew. I mean,
Did they?
like I mean, even as a kid, I'm sure you're the same. Like I literally needed a hook to be pulled off any stage.
You
So
did 20 minutes when somebody opened the fridge.
yeah, it was like, la, la, like we had this, we go to this holiday in Bana Beach, this kind of caravan thing. And at nighttime they'd have entertainment, and I'd get up and sing, and I just join the queue and get up again. And you just
Yeah,
couldn't keep me off the stage. And I was writing plays at Christmas. I was doing like Christmas reviews and stuff for the
fantastic.
family. So I think what happened was I was so disillusioned by the time I'd finished my PhD. And I had always like had this thing that I wanted to kind of run away and be an actor, even during like my first degree in engineering. It just
Mm.
became obvious that that was the next thing I needed to do.
So you dipped your toe in the water through improv, and then you ended up we ended up meeting each other on a trip
Yeah,
to LA,
that's right.
during which time you got a call for an audition for Fair City.
That's right.
Tell us about that little journey about going into Fair City and then leaving it.
It's a machine. Have you
Yeah.
ever done Fair City?
No, no, but
It's
I've
a
been involved. I did
juggernaut.
Coronation Street, Emmerdale, so I
Oh
know that
yeah, yeah,
machine of
yeah.
soaps.
It's a juggernaut. So yeah, so I put myself on tape when I was away, and I didn't get cast for that part, but they kept me in reserve. And then this other character came up, this nurse, or not this nurse, this nun suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, who'd come back from the Dominican Republic of the
A
Congo.
part you were born to play. Oh Lord! So you're playing a nun. And like, you know, the details of this is in the book, and I really want to push people towards that segment of the book, because I wet myself slightly. Tell me about your departure from Fair City.
Well, basically, a new regime came in, and they just decided to sweep up all the characters. So I got pulled in. They're going, yeah, we've got this great development of your character. I said, oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, so you're going to meet a man. You're going to get engaged. You know, you're going to, give your virginity to him. Then you're going to find out he went to prostitutes. Then you're going to tell your sister because you're so ashamed of him, and then she tells you that she was a prostitute to feed her heroin habit, and you can't cope with this. So obviously you get in a cab and you drive off, which means the death of your character for all
means
soaps.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
That's it. You're never coming back. So as I was getting into the car, I was like, no, I really don't want to go. And it's like Joey, you know, the way in Joey in Friends, he doesn't want to go down the elevator shaft.
Oh Lord. So you that finishes for you.
Yeah.
Now, at what point then did this original love of your life return to your life and become your life? What happened? What was the process there?
So I had started kind of working with a kind of a progressive theatre company called Anu, and they loved the fact that I was a scientist. So it would always, up until now, it was like a dirty secret, and I thought it would stop me from getting casting. It was so bad, but anyway.
Yeah.
And so they encouraged me to start bringing it into like the devising room, and because they were so successful, I got opportunities that I never would have had before. So suddenly I was allowed, I applied for a Show in a Bag, which is the Dublin Fringe initiative for actors to write their own kind of one person show. And I was looking at particle physics because I was just confused that I was trying to be all these things at the same time. So I was looking at these people and these choices that I made and the dreams that I had as a kid. And one of them was the astronaut, Niamh. And when I started delving into that, I realized that it wasn't just a childhood dream. It was actually something still very real. And I was very disappointed in myself that I had done nothing about it. I had never studied astronomy. So the initial plan was to just write a show about my love of space and the crack of like, what would happen if you just said to the world that you wanted to go to space in 2014? And I thought by making the show that it would just end, but it didn't. It sort of just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
The flame started burning brighter and brighter.
And it just became an obsession, and everything else had to be given second place.
And do people still say to you, Jesus, are you mad? I mean, you want to go into space. I mean, but the hunger's still there to do it, isn't it? And it's bigger than ever.
Yeah, it is. It is. And what's great is it's writing the book really helped me, because I was kind of going like, what is this? What is this about? And it's about like going so that I can't just go, Simon. Like if somebody were to give me the money in the morning, it's not that. It's about like doing the work now, like talking about space and connecting with people, so that when I go, they'll go, I know her, you know, like she was on the 46th day, but that familiarity thing. Yeah. So that if I'm like afraid and scared and vomiting, that they can see themselves through me. And really it's about kind of remembering how frail we are the second you take humans off planet Earth, and how we kind of really need to take care of this planet. And that's really what it's about.
And how teeny and tiny and insignificant we actually are. But what I think the book does, because as I say, I think it's a great story of self-discovery and a journey, but I also think it's an inspiration, because there's an awful lot of 8-year-old girls and boys out there who have the exact same dream.
Yeah. And the great thing is that there is a structure now in place in Ireland for them to have a career path in space that probably wasn't as clear cut for me, which is probably why I never got there until now. What's great now is that people can take a job in ESA, European Space Agency, and it's there and available for them.
Isn't that incredible? Let's talk about the book then, because it's all well and good having an idea to write a book. 99% of people will start a book and never finish it. Finishing the first draft is the hard bit. Then there's the easy bit about getting it published, Niamh. Why a book? And let's talk about your writing process. Did you have a scattergun approach to it? Were you very disciplined? Were you Jeffrey Archer, 14 drafts all written by hand? How did you go about it?
It was a conversation that I had with Pa O'Donoghue from Mercier Press that kind of made me do it. So I'd been asked twice before. And then I was asked again after Pa, but he just sort of simplified it for me. He just said, look, at every time you get up and speak, I know that you're just giving us a chapter of this book, but that you could get up and speak. He says, you have a story and you're screaming to tell it. And I was like, okay. And he's just put down what you already have and see what's missing. And that's what I did. So it was very scattergun. And half the time you're like, do you know the thing? It's like you're rocking yourself because you're so afraid, because you think I can't possibly achieve this, like, you know.
But then you have to actually finish it, and then the terrifying part I found is you have to hand it over and someone tells you what they think. That's terrifying.
So it was scattergun. First draft was like a newborn giraffe that was literally just up on its legs, and I pulled together lots of things that I'd written, and fair play to them, they went, you have a book. And then my editor then kicked in, and he was absolutely brilliant. And I don't know how they do it. And so you think, oh, it's done. But no, the edits come and they're like a train, and you're like, ah, you're being pushed along. Like,
and every time it happens, it's making the book a better book.
Better and better and better. So
that's
we
the beauty of it.
Yeah,
it's an incredible achievement, Niamh. It really is. It's called Dream Big.
I did say.
I've had the pleasure of knowing you for since 2006, since we were in LA.
Yeah.
You've always been, I've always thought of you as a woman who's very driven, has great ambition, and will get what she wants. And when you have the likes of Dr. Karen O'Flaherty from the European Space Agency saying, with her sights set on space and her feet firmly on the ground, Niamh Shaw shows us how to dream big while cherishing the simple things in life. It doesn't really get much better than that.
No, it's great. It's great.
Congratulations, my darling. I wish you nothing but continued success. Dream big, folks. Niamh did, and she still is. Thank you. Thanks, Simon. Now let's go to Hodges Vegas. It's not live. I went earlier today to Hodges Vegas. I went to Hodges Vegas earlier today to sign copies of this little baby, and here's how I got on. I'm in just outside Hodges Vegas, and Luke. Go down. I don't think. It's me, Luke.
This is Gabriel Greeley.
Okay, cool. Yep.
Right, and there'll be a link.
Yeah.
Easy enough.
This is for Gabriel. If you can hear me, but I'm signing copies. Oh,
You know her,
yeah, that's so nice.
And
Here you are. We're doing it. I'm finally launching Dream Big. Unbelievable. So, like, I'm going to keep this really short and really brief. It's been a very strange 6 months. I didn't know what we were going to do after the decision was made on the 15th of March for the country to lock down. Obviously, that meant that our launch couldn't happen. And then I just waited. And then kind of around May, I thought about having it kind of around July. And then I did this to my wrist. I don't know if you can see that there. And I badly sprained this one. So I had no hands literally for 2 months. And then that kind of took me up to about August. And then I rang Deirdre at Mercier Press and I said, I think we should launch this. You can't go without launching it. Too many people have asked me for signed copy. So we decided best time would be Space Week. And that's how we're here today. The book is here. I'm going to read a passage from it. It was very hard to decide which one to read from. But you know, so many people make this happen. Thank you very much, Mercier Press, for making this gorgeous book. I mean, it's beautiful, isn't it? Thank you to Karen O'Flaherty for writing the front cover quote. And also thank you to Dave Fanning, who I've done lots of radio with, and also Ruth Freeman from Science Foundation Ireland. It's lovely to have some sort of quote on the front of the book to give people an idea of what it is. Other people to thank, obviously, Mum and Dad, my brothers and sisters, my really good friends, Orla and Olive, for always being there and keeping me going, even on the tough days. All the gang from Blackrock Castle Observatory, obviously. Karen at Unit K. Karen, look, I'm wearing half of the outfit that we were going to wear on the book launch, which is a Victoria Beckham, again, bought in the consignment store. My pals, they know what they do. Colm, Josh in Australia, and Peter for all those years. Vincent Ellen at Festival of Curiosity, everybody at Science Foundation Ireland, Ruth, obviously, for writing the dedication, but also Stephanie, and Kathy, and Margie, and everybody in the Public Engagement Department, the team at Lottie Dolls, Ian, my mentors over the years, you know who you are, Ger, Katie, Ethna, Catherine in the UK, all the teams I've worked with, you know who you are. I better not name them because there's so many of us. The European Space Agency, always for championing me and making my mad requests for, can I do this? Can I do this on site? Lorraine, you're amazing. Karen, Ruth, and all the communications team at ESTEC and the Azero desk there. The International Space University, Juan, our current president, you know, my improv troupe, my acting pals, my science communication pals. And thank you so much, everybody who's bought copies online, in the shops, lots of people all over the world, Kinder Books, and went to the Mercier Press website to order books during the lockdown, and Amazon, and bought the Kindle version as well. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your feedback. People wrote some lovely reviews on goodreads.com. Feel free. So far, I've got a rating of 4.8 out of 5, so don't mess with that. And thanks, everybody. That's been great. It's weird, but it's been great. Okay, so it's that time of the proceedings where it's time for the reading of the book. I've picked chapter 11. If you want to all go to your pages, go to page 168. Everyone open your books on page 168. I'm kidding. So, right, chapter 11, Landing on Mars. So I subscribed to join a crew in January 2017 on a mission to Mars, a simulated Mars mission called Mars Desert Research Station, or MDRS. And it was in the Utah desert in the middle of nowhere. It took me 2 days to get there. I knew some of the crew, bar one. I'd never met Rick before from Australia, but Michaela, Roy, and Idris, we had all been on the Space Studies program together. So we were crew 173, and we had to meet crew 172 in this small town called Hanksville, which was the last town before we went into the research station. So that's kind of all you need to know. And we will start. So we arrived at Hanksville around 2:30 p.m, already over 2 hours late for our meetup with crew 172. Hanksville was hardly a town. In fact, it was more of an ordinary stretch of country road where you happened upon a cluster of a dozen or so houses located around a junction. No street lights, one set of traffic lights, no signs. There was nothing for miles around, just this one road where at a small junction there was a petrol station and Brenda's Diner. While a few yards down the road there was a small restaurant, another smaller petrol station, and a small white grocery store with no name on the front. Everything was dusty, rusty, and dingy. We were looking for Bull Mountain Market and turned around in the Jeep thinking that we must have missed it. This was where we were supposed to meet crew 172, who were taking us to MDRS. We drove back to the petrol station at the junction, where Michaela inquired about the location of Bull Mountain Market. The owner informed her that it was the tiny white shop at the other end of the road, so we headed back there. But there was no sign of crew 172, likely because we were over 2 hours late due to Michaela and Roy's delayed flight. The store seemed to have many functions. As well as being a regular grocery store, it had a whole back section stocked with a kind of food needed for living in the extremes, like freeze-dried egg, freeze-dried potato, freeze-dried butter, etc. The kind of food that we'd have to eat while at MDRS. Our supplies were also stored there, ready for us to pick up. We took a look through the boxes. It was pretty basic stuff, all dried goods. So we decided to pitch in about $20 each to buy a few extra food items to tide us over for the first few days, or sols, should I say. We got some vegetables and fruit, which probably wouldn't last long, of course, but we'd make them stretch for as long as we could. Those items were to go towards our culture night dinners, a throwback to the Space Studies program. I threw a bag of potatoes into the basket since I'd be making shepherd's pie for my Ireland culture night. We packed our food into the 2 Jeeps. It was a tight fit, what with our huge luggage already squeezed into the back. Bull Mountain was also a kind of pizza takeaway / restaurant and a clothes shop of sorts. We decided to eat pizza and drink brewed coffee as we waited for crew 172. As commander, Michaela called Shannon, the MDRS director who managed the facility, to see if she had any update, but her phone rang out. However, soon after that, she received an email from Shannon with a cell number for Patrick from crew 172. Michaela called the number and Patrick explained that they had headed back to MDRS after waiting for us. He promised to return soon to pick us up. So we waited. An hour went by, still without a sign of crew 172. Michaela called again and I ordered more pizza and coffee. At 4:30 p.m, Patrick and Anushri, members of Crew 172, arrived. I noticed how scraggy they both appeared. They were filthy, except their boots and trousers, especially their boots and trousers. They looked exhausted and gaunt. Both were welcoming and friendly and keen to help us in any way that they could. They took a look at our 2 packed vehicles, and we considered the logistics of fitting us all into their MDRS, one solitary vehicle, along with all our food and gear. We'd been instructed by Shannon to leave the hired vehicles at Bull Mountain Market, and we would all travel in on the one MDRS Jeep, a dilapidated, smelly and rusty thing desperately in need of a valet. But instead, Patrick wisely suggested that we drive one of the hired vehicles, one of our vehicles, behind the MDRS Jeep. That way we could bring everything in on one trip. It also meant the Crew 172 could leave MDRS in the morning in the hired Jeep, and we wouldn't need to drive them to Bull Mountain in the MDRS Jeep. Shannon didn't approve of crews doing this, as the valet bill for the hired vehicle is hefty after driving across the harsh and muddy MDRS terrain. But it was getting late, and we knew that when we finally arrived at MDRS, there would still be a lot of procedures training for us to complete before darkness fell. As we moved our bags of groceries into the MDRS vehicle, I became embarrassed that Patrick and Anushri could see all our food and stuff. They asked us what we'd bought. They seemed especially interested in the food. I felt territorial of our provisions, realizing for the first time that our diet and choice of food was likely going to deteriorate during this mission. Poor Patrick and Anushri probably hadn't had a tasty meal in a long time. I felt another wave of anxiety. What had I gotten myself into? Still, I followed Roy and Rick into the MDRS vehicle, squeezing myself in. I wanted to stay near them for now. They both made me feel safer. Idris and Michaela drove their vehicle behind the MDRS vehicle, now accompanied by Anushri. Hanksville disappeared quickly behind us. We drove for 10 minutes, then Patrick took a right turn into a dirt road, which soon devolved into a sort of track. We soon found ourselves slowly negotiating our way between huge boulders and rocks. No wonder the MDRS vehicle looked so wrecked. This was very harsh terrain to maneuver for any vehicle. We travelled very slowly, keeping an eye on Idris driving the hired vehicle behind us. He was doing brilliantly. I'm not sure if I would have had the courage to drive on those treacherous paths. Patrick shared stories about their mission experience, especially all the times that things went wrong, how they didn't have water for 2 days because the pipes froze. He repeatedly told us to protect our pipes from freezing during the mission. We got it. We won't let our pipes freeze. Listening to him, it felt as if he was weary from it all. His role in the crew was as their green hab officer, which was the role that Rick would have in our crew. This meant that they both had responsibility to maintain and grow any vegetables or plants in the green habitat, which is effectively a greenhouse and is commonly referred to as green hab. They engaged in an extensive conversation about the green hab, which had just recently had a rebuild. A fire had occurred in the green hab the previous year as someone left the gas heater on overnight to keep it warm for the plants. But something caught fire in there overnight and the unit went up in flames. Crew 172 had been the first crew to avail of the newly furbished facility. I don't think that Patrick got to plant much during his mission. The cold weather didn't help. Instead, he spent a lot of time setting up the new green hab, building shelves and organising all the new equipment. On the plus side, everything would now be in great shape for Rick to begin planting. There was a lull in the conversation, and Patrick asked us again about what food we had been allocated. I was glad that Roy and Rick were with me. In a matter of hours, it felt that we were somehow already Crew 173, feeling separate to Crew 172. As the drive continued, Patrick gave us good advice on how to drive through the harsh landscape. More horror stories of their mission were shared. We listened, trying to absorb it all, but it was just too much information. Without really understanding just how extreme MDRS was, it was difficult to appreciate the advice that he was so generously sharing with us. But I certainly have never experienced terrain like that before. It seemed ridiculous to even drive over some stretches. The boulders were huge. My head had banged off the roof of the vehicle far too many times already. The shock absorbers must have worn out long ago in this car. And finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the track leveled off and a sort of dirt road appeared. It led us into a series of shallow valleys winding between small rocky hills. And then we turned one last corner out of the hills, and there it was, the Mars Desert Research Station. We had arrived. My home for the next 15 days. I took in the view in front of me, the round, tall building, the main habitat often referred to as hab, the green hab, a dome building called the Science Dome, and an observatory. It was finally here. But just because we were on site didn't mean that our mission had begun. We wouldn't start until Crew 172 departed the following morning. And until then, we were not yet on Mars. We were just guests of Crew 172 in limbo, somewhere between Earth and Mars. So that's enough, I think. You know, like, I'm aware that it's an online event, and I hope it gives you a taster of the book. I want to thank you all again for joining me in, you know, giving the nod to this book that is very dear to me, an account of space adventure so far. And thank you everybody who supported me over the years and supported the book. And I hope that you stay safe and well, and that we get through this pandemic, and that one day we'll all be back together again. Bye.